Thanks, John. Yeah, thanks Swift and John and Alexei and everybody else who's organizing this event for having me out, and thank you all for coming. I'm glad to have a chance to talk in front of you. The reason I got up here was because I actually deal with a lot of you. I've probably emailed most of you. I think I've sponsored a hackathon every week for the past year. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. So I get people writing me all the time and saying, oh, we need to get some cash, or can you come out and like mentor, or do you want to give a tech talk, or teach us how to use Git, or a whole bunch of stuff. And I found that I don't always have the right inspiration to be involved in an event, because people aren't thinking about things from the way I see the event, right? And I think it's really important as an organizer to actually take account of who's involved in your event and think about them all and make a conscious decision about who you want to support and where you're going with your event. So this talk is about aligning the interests of all the people there. I'm John Britton. I work at GitHub, working with all of you. I go to hackathons. I teach people Git, stuff like that. That's not all that interesting. Do I hack? Yes, I hack all the time. I organize, I've been to stuff organized by John, all these guys. I hack every day on my job. This is the thing I want to say is I'm not an expert, even though John says I am. Like, I've been wrong before, right? I've been wrong a lot. You probably won't agree with everything I have to say. It'll sound like I'm ranting probably too. So please think for yourselves, but take my opinion into consideration when you're making your decisions. So also, this is not a how-to. I'm not going to tell you the way. I'm not going to say, this is the first step, this is the second step, here's how you do what you do. Everybody has different events, and you should just kind of think about this as a conversation. I would love to have questions, and if you disagree with me, yell at me, tell me that I'm wrong. This is not a how-to. I just want to kind of get a conversation going about the things that I think are important for your events. So let me tell you a story of two companies. One that once was at the top of the world as far as developers go, and is now not. So who knows SourceForge? So when I talk about aligning the people who have interest in your event, I'm looking at business, and I'm saying, what does a business do? They align the interests of their users and their customers, and that's what builds a successful business, right? In the case of SourceForge, who is the user? Developers. Developers. Who is the customer of SourceForge? Advertisers. They pay money to put ads in front of developers and then annoy the developers, and they disappear. Now let's look at GitHub. Who is the user of GitHub? Developers. Who is the customer of GitHub? Developers. So it's really, really easy to build a business where your customers are in line with the people who are using your product if they're the same person, right? But that's not always possible, right? So the hard way to do this for your event is to say, for example, we're not going to have any sponsors. No one's going to have any external influence on the way I run my event, and I'm going to charge my attendees the amount of money I need to buy all the food, to get the space, to give them their prizes, whatever, right? That'd be a hard sell, right? How many of your attendees would pay $100 to come to the event? Probably not many. They're poor college students, right? Yeah, the people who are here might pay $100, but I'm pretty sure you all live all over the country, and yeah, that wouldn't be that effective. So I'm going to tell you, the hard way, and then there's the harder way, right? It's not the easy way, because that's definitely not going to happen. The harder way is to actually go through your audience and say, who are all the people, who are the stakeholders in my event? What do they want? What do I want? And how can I make them all line up to achieve my goal? So to do that, you need to know what your goal is. You need to have a purpose for your event. There are lots of different purposes that you could have. You could, for example, run a competition to find the best hacker in all the land. Or you could have an event for learning, like what ADI is doing, teaching people how to be good developers, how to get into the field. It doesn't really matter what the purpose is, as long as you have a purpose. If you don't have a purpose, you're going to have a hard time, aligning everybody for that purpose. Personally, my purpose is to help you achieve your goal. So whatever your purpose of your hackathon is, you need to message that to me, and I will help you get there. If I disagree with you, I'll tell you to go away. But otherwise, I will help you get there. So these are your stakeholders. We're going to go through them one by one, and we're going to talk about my experience in the shoes of with dealing with each one of these people, or actually being one of these people. So first, it's a balancing act. Everybody's going to pull and tug on you in different ways. You might not always be able to get to an optimal solution, but you can try. The attendees are who we do it for, in my opinion. If they don't come, there's no event. If I spend a ton of time organizing an event and only a few people come, I feel disappointed sometimes, unless that was the intention. And I'm here to make sure that they have a good experience. Different things make sense. Okay, let's talk about attendees. So why do attendees come? Shout out some ideas. Why do you go to a hackathon? For fun. Learn something new. Meet other hackers. Win. Fame and glory. Yes. What else? Food, free food. College students in the house. Swag. Okay, you need clothing. What else do college students need? They need food, clothing. You have a place to sleep. You can get shelter. Yeah, okay. So yeah, college students, they have different interests than me, I guess. Some of them might want to get a job, right? Like, who goes to a hackathon? Who's gotten a job based off of going to a hackathon? All right, yeah. Some people go to hackathons for jobs. What else? Maybe to find a new technology, maybe to find a new hobby. There's all kinds of different reasons. So when you're organizing a hackathon, what audience do you want to attract? If you have a single audience that has a single shared mission, it's a lot easier to align them, right? So if you say, I'm going to have the biggest hackathon of all time and invite 10,000 students from all over the world, and no one's going to be happy because nothing's going to ever work the way they wanted. Or you could say, for example, this is a hackathon about learning. You can all learn how to build web apps at this hackathon, and we will pair you with mentors. Or this is a competition, this is a big competition, and we're going to crown the winner across the world, or whatever it is. But find a mission for your audience, like a purpose for that audience, and recruit that audience. Don't recruit everyone. So I'll point to ADI. They have the learning mission. They've narrowed their audience to just Columbia students, and they still have a huge turnout because they have a very clear mission, right? So if you have a giant university hackathon and invite everybody from every university without a purpose, you're going to get less people, or the same amount of people, right? So that's the attendees. The organizer. Everybody here is an organizer? Anybody not an organizer? What are you doing here? No, I'm just kidding. Sponsor? No, I don't know. Okay, so yeah, you're all organizers. Why? What are your interests in organizing a hackathon? And this is not like a selfish thing, right? Like, you should definitely have your interests like down on paper, or like at least know what they are. You might want to get a job after you get out of college, and you might want to work in like community stuff, or work as an evangelist with John, or something like that. And organizing events is definitely a good way to do that. You might want to meet new people. You might want to teach yourself a skill. So for example, Music Hack Day, which was a really big hackathon that I ran a few years back in New York City, I heard about Music Hack Day, and I had been interested in music technology, and I contacted the people who originally started Music Hack Day, and I said, hey, I really want to like make a music hack. My idea is this. I want to go and like get my DNA sequence from 23andMe, and then I want to put it into this program, and I want to make a song, and I want every person to have a different song from their DNA, right? That was my idea, and I was like, I really want to go to Music Hack Day, but they're all in Europe. So I started one in New York City. I invited everybody. People flew from all over the world to New York City, all these music experts, and I got to sit and talk with them, right? That was why I organized the event. So you should have a reason, a purpose for organizing your event. Make sure that you know, so that you can align yourself and your attendees with that mission. So a venue. I would imagine most of you host these events at your school. Is there anybody who uses a venue that's not the school? Okay, how did you get that venue? A lot of money. All right, I've never paid for a venue because they're really expensive. Not worth it at all. And they also sometimes make you pay for catering from them, which is like totally ridiculous. It's like, oh yeah, let's pay $10,000 for this tiny hotel conference room and $20 a plate for food, right? That's a joke. So venues, like why would they even let you in? Like, don't pay for venues if you can avoid it. So your school, obviously they want to, use you as a marketing material for when new students come in and say, how many clubs do you have at the school? We've got 10,000 clubs and a hackathon and, whatever, right? That's why they'll let you do it on campus. But, when you're talking to venues, there's all kinds of stuff that they want. They want to get up in front of the room at the beginning of the event and say, welcome to our space. If you're doing events, we rent this space out, or, whatever it is. So get their interest and, take them into account as well. Sponsors. So this is the one that I'm going to talk about probably the most, because I do this all the time. Why do sponsors give you money? Anybody? Say again? Evangelism, recruitment, and branding. Those are 3 good ones. Any others? Community support. Product feedback. Oh, I haven't experienced that one, but that's a good one. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I do, when I'm sponsoring an event. Why do I sponsor? I sponsor to make the event happen. If the event is going to happen without my money, I don't bother. So if you write me an email and say, we have 15 other sponsors on board, and they're all, contributing $5,000 and getting this and that benefits and whatever, I don't care about any of the benefits. I don't care about getting my logo plastered everywhere. I don't care about standing up in the front of the room and talking for 5 minutes about the GitHub API. What I care about is making sure that you guys have a space, you have food, you're in there, and you're all hacking and learning and competing or doing whatever it is that you decided that you wanted to do. So I get, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, I get this sponsorship prospectus with a grid of checkboxes, right? Like $5,000, you get 3 checks. $10,000, you get 8 checks, whatever it is. Like, to me, I just throw those in the trash. I don't even look at them. It's like sending a resume for a job. It's like, oh yeah, you know how they always tell you when you're applying for a job, make yourself stand out. It's the same thing with a sponsorship prospectus. I don't read that crap. There's no point. First of all, there are some companies where recruiting makes sense, right? Or, branding is a thing that they want to do, or, whatever it is, and they'll pay for that stuff. Again, I told you this is opinionated, this is where I'm coming from, and none of that stuff matters to me. All that matters to me is that you have a place to go, you're going to do this event, and you're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to make connections, and you're going to become developers, right? Because what's my business? My business is developers, right? More developers means more possible customers, more, whatever. And it's not all about money, clearly, but that's, if I have to rationalize, hey, I'm giving you money for your event, this is how I can rationalize it. So take that into mind when you're thinking about your sponsors. Now, if you're doing an event for a bunch of students who want to get jobs after the event is over, how can you align that with sponsors? Well, you can get the sponsors to pay you money to recruit, which is what the students want, right? But if you're doing another kind of event where people are competing and they don't want to be bothered by recruiters, then it doesn't make any sense to have recruiters there at all. So I think that's enough ranting. Mentors. So I heard a lot of talk about mentors. Why do people mentor? I mentor because I like teaching people to code. It helps me become a better coder, right? It's so much more if I can explain to you everything, like how the internet works, then I'm better. I have to spend time researching all that stuff and figuring it out so I can explain it to you in simpler terms. So that's why I do it. But, there's lots of reasons. Mentors might be there from companies. They might have corporate mentors. They might want you to use their products. And this is something that I'm wary of and I don't really like, is when you have a sponsor who pays money to get their product in front of the developers at the event and then becomes a mentor, and their job as a mentor is to get you to use their product. That's not really mentoring, right? So avoid that at all costs, even if that means not taking their money. Recruiters. So I'm not a recruiter. I don't deal with recruiters ever. Can't really talk about them very much. How many of you like having recruiters at your events? I honestly am asking this because it could be a thing that students want. 1? 2? A couple? No, don't be shy. I think it's legit. A few. Yeah, okay. Okay, so it's not like totally frowned upon. I think it makes sense if you're college students looking for jobs. You might want recruiters. Like Music Hack Day is the total opposite. This is like part of our, have a purpose. The purpose of Music Hack Day is to make cool, creative music stuff. It's not to get jobs. Sure, that might happen, but the purpose of your event could very well be to get jobs. So you can invite recruiters if you want. Why should anybody who's in the field care about this? Besides your attendees and besides people who you invite, why should anybody who is a web developer care? So you could, lots of cool new stuff gets built at hackathons. It's like somewhat revolutionary. It can be. You could be changing the field out from under them. So they want to kind of keep the pulse. So somebody was talking about making sure you blog about your stuff and trying to maybe make a centralized blog or something like that. I wouldn't recommend to, try and centralize the effort, but I would try and make it a best practice to just write down what you built just for yourself. Like even if you don't publish it, but write it down and maybe publish it. Because in 2-3 years, you're gonna want to go back and say like, what did I actually do? What did I achieve in this weekend? So make sure that the people outside of the room know about it as well. So this is another one that I can talk a fair bit about is press. What does the press care about your event? Why, yeah, go ahead, Alexi. They want viral stories, right? They want nuggets of information. And that might not always be aligned with your interests, right? Like if you're talking about being an educational event and you want more newbies coming and you want to teach them how to code, you don't want the kind of press that's like TechCrunch. You don't want the, junk food press that just like writes articles of whatever you feed them. You want like substantial stories. Go and find those types of people. Look up people who've written about learning, about education, and invite them to your event and like kind of court them. Like make sure that they know that you're there for questions. You can show them around. So I'll go back to Music Hack Day. When I did the event Music Hack Day, I went overboard on a lot of things because it was my first really big event. And I was like, I need to raise money, so I raised like 50 grand, right? The event didn't cost but like 10. I gave it all away as prizes, which was way too much in prizes. But I didn't want to fall short, right? So I raised a bunch of money. I contacted every kind of press that I could. I did like, Mechanical Turk jobs that researched authors, and then I found all those authors and I spammed them and said, come to my event. So we ended up with Fuse TV there, and we got a segment on cable television. We ended up with Billboard there. We got on the front page of Billboard magazine and a full article inside. It wasn't the cover story, but it was mentioned. Music hackers something in New York City or whatever. So just by taking like a concerted effort on these things, you can actually make a big impact. So, and the last one I think is vendors. So why do you need money in the first place, right? Like you're getting money from sponsors, you're buying food, you're buying prizes, whatever. Go straight to the vendors and get them to give it to you. A lot of times they'll do it. I like what you guys are doing with the pebbles for speakers. Like I don't know how you arrange that, but they have something that they're willing to give, and it costs them money, but it's not the same as writing a check, and it doesn't feel impersonal. Writing a check feels really, really impersonal. If I can't be at your event and the only thing that you say that I can do to help you out is write a check for $5 grand, I'm probably not going to help out. But if you say, hey, we really need XYZ that you could actually do, that your company already provides, something like that, I'm much more liable to help out. We don't care about other people. So GitHub wants to help. I'm your point of contact for GitHub. I want to help you as well. Have a purpose. Get in touch with me. Tell me what you want to do, and I will help you as best I can. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.